All right, we are back for Roundtable Ravens episode number 24. Buddy is back with us after taking a little bit of a hiatus. Welcome back, Buddy. And we're here to talk all about the schedule release. These schedules have come out for every single team. And I kind of want to start off with this, and I know I'm probably going to get a little bit of hate here for it, but to be honest, the release video was kind of lame. I really didn't. Look. I didn't know that they were. I thought they weren't going to do one, and I wrote that they didn't do one, and then they did it after the fact, and they called it Wedding Crashers, and it was just like a wedding, and then them being there. I don't know. I had a lot of expectations. I thought they were going to be messing with people or like make it more like the movie Wedding Crashers, and it was just Poe and then like Zayflower. I don't know, man. Look, I know I'm probably going to get hate, but I was like, what? All right.
I'll be the first one to give you hate. They went above and beyond last year with the Severance release date.
Yeah.
And that media team, best in the league. And not just because I have a friend over there. So
I mean, look,
I loved it. I thought it was really warm and cozy and nice.
honestly, if we're going to give anybody the award, it's got to be the Titans. I don't know if you guys saw that one, but it was hilarious. They just went on the street finding people that looked like opponents' coaches and or players. And then called it. It's so funny. Go watch it. Everybody else go watch it. It's so good. I was laughing so hard. They won by far. And it was like the people didn't even look like the people. It was some guy like that had glasses on and a mustache. She's like, Aaron Rodgers? And he turned it's so good. Anyway, moving on. Honestly, it was sweet. Like the Ravens video was sweet. I was like, that's cool. Like the fact that they gave everybody tickets and they surprised.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. I just thought I don't know. I expected a little bit more, so I'm just nitpicking here. That's just what I'm doing.
They're going through a lot in Baltimore right now.
don't come at me, Ravens fans. I'm really sorry. That's all I'm throwing out there. That's
yeah. I think creating like a schedule video is probably the least of their worries.
Oh yeah. Honestly, I thought it would have been fine if they didn't do one. I was fine with them just doing a graphic and being like, here's our schedule. Because I was like, yeah, they have way more to worry about than doing a schedule video. Not that they shouldn't. Not that every team usually doesn't do that. I'm just saying, I was like, okay, cool. I thought it was very simple. Then they released it and I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, moving on. Before I get
said what you said. You've already got the hate from me.
You know what? I got the hate from Billy. I'll get the hate from the comments, I'm sure. If you guys want to comment and hate on me, that's fine. Anyway, moving on. So we're going to break down some of the aspects of the schedule for the Ravens here. One of my main things that I thought was very, very, very weird. Well, it's going to benefit the Ravens in a really big way, but I just thought it was very weird. They don't play a team with a winning record until week 8, November 1st, the Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
Not one.
Very, very unusual.
Yeah, not one team with the winning record at all. They play the Colts, Saints, Cowboys, Titans, Falcons, Browns, and Bengals to start everything off. And all of those teams, no winning record. In fact, their overall record was like 30-something and 70-something. I didn't calculate it, but it's bad. Like all of their records collectively is not great. So week 8 is the first time they'll play a team with a winning record and a playoff team, which is the Buffalo Bills.
And a rival. Very serious business over there with Buffalo and Baltimore. Yeah, no, good news, I think, for a team that's kind of going to be finding its feet those first few weeks. I mean, any given Sunday, any given year, like teams really can just show up out of the blue and be something that you don't expect them to be. And obviously Cleveland and Cincy, like those are two divisional rivals. So like you can never know what to expect. But I think that this should be having the Ravens breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief of like, okay, we're easing in there, but then it's pretty rough from them.
Yeah, I mean, and really quick to add on to that, they do have the Colts and the Cowboys, who were both 8-9, I believe it was. So it's not like they weren't close to being a winning record team, and they were still competitive. But it's just weird that like all of those teams collectively, not one of them were a playoff team until week 8. That's just it's just very odd.
Can't wait for the tinfoil hats to come out and be like, it's Goodell giving them a really nice schedule because he wants them to do. I can't wait for it. People are going to be like, what's this schedule? Look, the Ravens have had it rough for the last few years. So I think that this is a nice starting. I think last year their schedule was ridiculous. So this is a nice, like, a little, sigh of relief.
No, yeah, without a doubt, this is definitely a sort of gift for Jesse Minter and for Lamar Jackson and for the entire Ravens organization. I mean, starting off with the Colts, who were obviously, they were one of the hottest teams in the league last year through October, and then Daniel Jones gets injured and they just kind of fall from there. So yeah, this is really great for the Ravens. Obviously finishing 8-9 last year, like you said, Billy, tough schedule last year, and they kind of get a gift now. Fourth easiest schedule in the league, by the way, for the Ravens coming in, which
Another
is
rare moment.
yeah, which is pretty surprising there. AFC North last year had a bit of a lot of a struggle, actually, I should say. Three teams went under 500 last year, and many would consider that division one of the best in football. Struggled mightily last year, and then now coming in, obviously, if the Ravens are healthy, if Lamar Jackson's upright, like we've talked about all off season long up to this point, the Ravens are going to be a juggernaut. That's just a simple fact right there. And if that's the case, and given this schedule, at least the first 7 games, like we talked about, maybe, yeah, the first 7 games for sure. They could be maybe 6-1, 7-0. I know that's probably a little bit premature right now, but I mean, hey, if Lamar Jackson wins over 60% of his games, so if he's healthy and the defense steps up, if Jesse Minter does his thing right, and the offense proves to do their thing as well, I mean, they could be off to a hot start.
Yeah, I'm going to
Yeah,
wheel back on what I said real quick, actually, because historically the Ravens can sometimes tumble against these kinds of teams.
Right.
They don't always come
That's
out
true.
swinging. It's those easy games that you think that they're going to scoop up and win. Obviously, completely new regime going on. Hobbs is out the building. It may impact this. It may mean that Minter's better at getting ahead of those types of things. It could be a mentality thing. I think many have kind of not really sure why that is, but it, it doesn't look good historically, actually, against teams like this sometimes.
yeah. I mean, they have the benefit of a softer schedule. They have the benefit of the second or fourth easiest schedule, and they have the benefit of their number 21 in the league in miles traveled for their 2026 season. So everything's kind of pointing in their favor to start off. And if they stumble in the beginning, it's like murderer's row after that for them. So they
Yeah.
they have to go into week 8 with a like minimum 4-3 record, but probably better
Sure.
if they're going to have a better shot at the playoffs at the end of the season. Because this leads right into the next point. Following that week 8 matchup with the Bills, or going into that week 8 matchup with the Bills, it's on Sunday, I believe it is. They turn around on Thursday and play the Jacksonville Jaguars on a short week. So you go from no winning record teams, no playoff teams, to two of the toughest teams from the AFC in 2025. So that's what starts it off for them. You almost want them to have more of those playoff teams in the beginning because they're all shoved at the end for the most part. And that's kind of, that does suck. So, I mean, I don't know exactly, I know there's a lot of like data and all kinds of stuff that the NFL matchmakers look into and run programs for all the matchups to come out. But it's kind of weird that it's such a lopsided schedule for them to be softer in the beginning, and then it's just like playoff team after playoff team kind of towards the end of the season, and divisional opponents as well. But yeah, you go from the Bills to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who, as we saw in 2025, very unpredictable team and probably could be even better in 2026. So they you almost need the Ravens to be at 4-3 or need them to be better than that to leave that 2 game stretch 1-1, hopefully, or 2-0. I mean, and as you said, Billy, and as we all know, you play any team any given Sunday. It doesn't matter who it is. It could be a team that was completely crappy in 2025 that comes out of nowhere, like the Titans. They can come out of nowhere and be good. We don't know. We won't
Yeah.
know until then. But the thing is, it's good for the Ravens because most teams are trying to establish their identity at the beginning of the season. It takes at least 4 or 5 games, 4 or 5 weeks for every team to kind of start separating, like, oh, are they going to be that kind of team? Or are they not going to be that kind of team?
Yeah.
And then you never know, because there's teams that go and start off really, they're 3-3, they're 4-4, and then all of a sudden, boom, they hit their stride towards the end of the season. So we don't really know. But as it stands right now, the Ravens are in a beneficial area of having a softer schedule to start things off before they go right directly into 2 playoff teams back to back on a short week, which is gonna not be great.
Yeah, but Buffalo's facing similar issues, new head coach over there. That we don't know what the Buffalo Bills are going to be. We assume, just like we assume the Ravens are going to be who they were before, but we don't know. It really is just like speculatory at this point, like it only can be. But I will say about the Sunday Thursday turnaround, like That's not new to the Ravens. They do that every year. They're doing it twice this year, but it's rougher in the second half because it's Cleveland and Cincinnati. Those are going to be two big games. Well, I mean, we don't know. Again, Cleveland, whole new coaching regime. Tom Lincoln's a great coach. He really could turn things around there, and they could be a competitive team at that time of year. We assume they're just going to be the Browns, so we don't know. But yeah, I think you're exactly right in the hope. I think that how they're going to go into this is like secure those first few wins, because from then on out, like it's going to be, and especially because you've got two divisional opponents as well, that's a chance to set two of them back, two losses. So I think that those first few weeks are actually arguably going to mean not more, but just as much as those final few.
Yeah.
And I wanted to back up a little bit real quick too, because I totally forgot that week 3 isn't really a soft game, because it's gonna be in Brazil, and usually international games are a wash. You never know if whatever team is going to be good. Whoever, it doesn't matter because of the travel and everything that you have to do to get teams out there. It's always like either you see them play really well or they just fumble, because it's like you don't know what happens. If they're partying out there, they're in a new country, yada yada yada. So week 3 is obviously going to be a game again against the Dallas Cowboys, who weren't terrible, but they weren't a playoff team. But you're going against the Cowboys in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, so it's like
and losing a home game for the first time with those international games, that's new. Both times the Ravens have been on the road, and I will say I was present for both of them, and the first one was an all-time franchise loss. It was like 55.7 versus the Jaguars, and it was when the Jaguars were the bad Jaguars, and it was so bad. So you really don't know. It is true that some teams it's a luck of the draw there, but also losing a home game for the first time in the franchise's history is pretty big for them too. So that's going to be another one that they desperately want to win, because that is considered a home game for them.
Yeah, James, that's a good point about the week 3 one. Especially, it's just from Sunday to Sunday too, and then they come back week 4. Week 4 Sunday too. So yeah, that's gonna be a real tough travel day, and those international games are always really, really weird. But one thing I did want to mention too, just at the end of the schedule, the last 5 games, so they have a bye week 13. They come back from week 14 through 18. This, I believe, is a juggernaut of an end of a schedule for the Ravens, especially. You have Tampa Bay coming off that bye week. They suffered a lot of injuries last year, and even so, they still had a chance to win their division. So that's going to be really tough, especially if they are a healthy bunch. Obviously, they lost to Mike Evans, but they still have Baker Mayfield, but he was dealing with some stuff last year. So that's going to be really tough. And then they end with 4 straight division games. That is insane right there. At Pittsburgh.
Before we break that down, let me back up just a little bit. So going back real quick into the Buffalo and Jacksonville games first, because it's going to lead into the bye week that you just brought up. Sure. Buffalo, Jacksonville, Los Angeles are the Chargers, and then Houston. Carolina is the only team that's kind of again, right after we talked about those first 7 games, then you go into that to begin everything. Those are 4 out of 5 opponents that are all playoff opponents first. Then
the Panthers were this close, actually.
And the Panthers, the Panthers are an unpredictable team. Like sometimes they're really good, other times you're like, okay, it's the Panthers, but you never know. And like I feel they're getting better. I feel like Bryce Young is getting better. They had they brought in Jalen Phillips.
Their defense last year looked great.
Yeah, and they brought in Jalen Phillips, which I'm very still upset about. But he went to the Carolina Panthers. Good for him, But anyway, huge playoff games right there, and then bye week 13, and then getting right into what Buddy was just talking about. You end 4 out of your 5 opponents in the last 5 weeks are divisional opponents, 2 of which are the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I know I'm going to bring this up in our other pod. I'm going to bring it up here right now. The NFL is doing this on purpose because I know they're trying to manufacture those divisional races. Because it's like, come on, like they did this last season. The Steelers last 2 games were against Steelers towards the end of the season. Now you're gonna do it again? Like really? Like the last 2 or 3 weeks, are they gonna be the Steelers? Come on.
I know they did it last year with the Bengals. They didn't see the Bengals until Thanksgiving for the first time, and it took all the way through. So I know what they're doing, and like we said, they've done it with another team as well, and I'm sure plenty of other teams. And honestly, it could fall flat on their face because we don't know what the Steelers are going to be either. They're also got a whole new coach for the first time in decades. So and Cleveland too, but they're used to switches around there, and Cincinnati, yeah, they keep hanging on over
Yeah.
there. But it really is, and I think that the AFC North, no matter what year it is, no matter how good the teams are, they are competitive and interesting and fun games to watch. So I think, I get it, but we don't know what that race is going to look like. It could be clear cut kind of by then.
I mean, you as much as Ravens fans don't want to hear this, the Bengals could finally be something, maybe more than they've been. They could be the team, and they always play the Ravens tough anyway, like well,
Every
divisional
year.
opponents regardless. But they could be a team that can come out of nowhere, and it could be a or it could be a Ravens, Bengals, and Steelers race towards the very bitter end of that schedule. So again, that record is going to matter so much more in those weeks.
Yeah.
But going back to what Buddy was starting with, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are a good team. I don't care what anybody says, and they have their stumbles and whatnot. But Baker Mayfield is one of the toughest quarterbacks in the entire league. That dude just leaves it all on the field, and they start with that. Their 5 week stretch after the bye week is starting with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
No,
So
man,
nice.
no, it's tough. It's a tough, brutal stretch. NFL does them some favors at the beginning of the year, sort of, kind of, right? Minus
Just so they
maybe the
can
travel
slap
in
them in
week
the
three.
face.
So, and then yeah, after their bye week, they say, "Here you go, man. Try to figure this out." And obviously, we all know that health is going to play a big factor with just the AFC North in general, right? Because I mean, you could argue, like the Bengals have a real chance to win the division if Joe Burrow is healthy, but it's always that if, right? It's always if Joe Burrow is healthy. Are the Ravens going to, is Lamar Jackson going to be healthy, right? Because what at least in the past 5 years, he had two major injuries that obviously, kind of had an effect on the Ravens, season and whatnot. Yeah, so there's a lot of ifs, but that's the NFL because of its unpredictability that we talked about every single year. It's a week. I mean, since I've joined this podcast, really, it's a week to week. It's a year to year basis, right? Like we don't know what the Saints are going to be, right, in week 2. I mean, hey, they could be one of the teams who go from worst to playoff team, right? Who knows?
Yeah.
Tennessee, because they're so young and they have a new head coach, and there's just a lot of factors that play into it, right? I mean, that's the beauty of the NFL,
And the curse of it too.
and the curse of it too, right? Yeah, exactly. So, this is just really fun, just seeing the schedule laying out. The teams getting creative, right? Doing all this, it gets you out for the year, and we still have a couple months to go. But I don't know about you guys, but I'm already fired up just seeing the schedule, man. For every single team, really, it's
100%.
amazing.
Yeah,
Feels like
no.
it's coming back already, and it's like,
Yeah.
gosh, it only just ended.
I know, and it sucks because the schedule release is so like dramatic and like yeah, and then like you have 2 months of just okay, yeah, like all
It's like
right.
tapping your fingers, like,
Like don't get me wrong, the training camp is fine, and like I'm excited, and I know a lot of people. The position battles, if you really pay attention to your
Sure.
team, are very exciting. You want to see who's going to come out of where and do what and whatnot, and all the rookies. It's very exciting. But then like there's that July dead period where it's like nothing. You got nothing going on until preseason kicks off. But yeah, like exactly like you said, buddy. Like like everybody knows, as cliche it is to say, any given Sunday, we have no idea what team is going to be what in this 2026 season. There could be teams that come out of nowhere and be good. There could be teams that are supposed to be good that end up not being great. But I think also too, the first half of the schedule very good, benefits the Ravens a lot. Second half of the schedule, not at all. That's just you're just hit after hit. But I will say too, going back to what you were talking about the health of Lamar Jackson, the health of the team. Period. They did get a really good benefit of having a late bye week in week 13. That's going to be huge for the team. Before they go into those final 5 opponents, you get a rest. You know what I mean? And if the Ravens happen to be in a not similar situation, but if they are banged up, like every NFL team is usually banged up at that time, they're going to get a chance to take a breather, especially like hopefully Lamar Jackson is not where he was at in 2025, dealing with knee and toe and hip and whatever else he was dealing with week after week, you still get that rest in week 13, which is going to be a really, really good benefit. Like, again, not we'll talk about this on with another team. Sometimes you get screwed and you get a week 6 bye week. And what are you going to do with that? Because that doesn't help anybody. But anyway, I digress. That's not for this one. Anyway, the point being, health is going to matter. We know this. We know that the Ravens have to be healthy. Every team has to be healthy. That's a given. But more so for 2025, they need to shake off those injuries that they were dealing with in 2025 and 2026. Be healthier, be ready to go, because obviously the back half of their schedule is unforgiving.
Yeah, I think that week 13 bye is going to be a real like sigh of relief for them because last year it was week 7 and it was just rough. Two of their best years they had, I think it was 2023 and 2024, they had week 13 and week 14. And that those were great years for the Ravens. And I think that, week 7 bye, while it came at a great time because Lamar was injured. I think Derrick Henry had some things going on. A lot of people were injured. And I think that they were just going downhill and it was just like loss after loss. And it was like great to kind of have that bye there. I think this year, this is going to be really helpful for them, especially if they are a playoff contender. That's just a few weeks before the playoffs. It gives you time to kind of heal, have a think about what's next, see what needs to be done, especially with those 4 AFC North games at the end of the season. I think it's going to be great news for them, seeing that, being like, oh great, we're back to these weeks, because that week 7 by last year, I think you really began to see it on the field towards the end of the the end of the season.
Yeah, and Lamar from week 10 and on was on the injury report or something, and he took a week off for practice. I mean, a day off for practice every week, which he never does every single week since then. So if they would have had that later bye, maybe whatever he was dealing with could have had a little bit more time to heal, so it wouldn't have been bothering him as much or what have you, So but as we brought it before and months ago, they brought in former rugby health doctor, Dr. Nick Gill, to mitigate those injuries and to help with their overall health. So they've done a lot of steps. They've made a lot of steps to make sure that they're not going to be dealing with the same issues, and having that late bye week it's just beneficial. That's all the teams that get those late bye weeks it's good for them, because then you get the benefit of that late season rest. So then you can go on your final stretch of potentially, being a playoff contender or what have you.
Yeah.
No, the schedule certainly benefits them in the beginning of the year, and Vegas clearly believes something because they have the highest win total at 11.5, right? So
they do still.
Yeah, they still do. It's the Ravens, and then it's the Rams. So Vegas clearly sees something, and in the NFL and sports, that means something. When Vegas sees that just a tiny bit, but clearly the NFL sees this team as a juggernaut. I mean, they have four right now. They have 4 primetime games.
Yep.
That week 18 one could turn into a primetime game depending on.
Yep.
Right now it's a flex game, so depending on how things pan out in the AFC North, that could be another one. So that's 5. And then obviously too, we know towards the end of the year there's a lot of things that flex and that fluctuate, right? So that could change, but right now 4 for the Ravens. Would have been more if they had a better year last year, but that doesn't matter anymore. It's 2026, and I believe that they're going to be out for blood.
I like to see one more positive thing just for the team's advantage, because the last few years they've played Christmas or Thanksgiving, and this year they're not doing that. So that's a nice break. They're going to get to spend that time with their families, and I think that also impacts morale, because not getting that and not getting that time with your family can be frustrating. I know that I think when you're a player, it's a little bit different. That momentum can actually be kind of helpful. But I think positive thing for them this year is that they don't have to play those holiday games.
No, that's a very good point, and something that I totally forgot to write about. But yeah, you're right, and especially too because those are Thursday games, and sometimes they're on short weeks, and you know what I mean. Like it's just not great. But like you just brought up, like you want to go be with your family, eat Thanksgiving turkey, or open presents with your kids or whatever, and you can't do that because you're playing an NFL game and potentially being away, where you can't even fly back home in time to do any of that. So that's a very good point. And again, that's a really beneficial thing for the Ravens. I do want to jump back to what Buddy was talking about with the primetime games. I'm glad that they got 4. Do I think it could have been more? I think it's kind of where it should be because I think everybody does want to see, hey, it's Jesse Minter. The biggest narrative is like, okay, what are the Ravens without John Harbaugh? That's going to be what it is.
Yeah.
Who are they with Jesse Minter? Obviously, we're going to see that way by the time. I think their first primetime game is
week 5
Week five.
against Atlanta,
week 5
and they're on
against.
the road.
Yep, and then they go to
Jacksonville.
back to back in Jacksonville, and then on the Chargers. So
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a
Yeah.
nice long week for them there.
yeah, definitely. But yeah, everybody wants to see, what the Ravens are, what the Ravens can do under Jesse Minter. Are they going to be the dominant Ravens of yesteryear, or are they going to be a similar 2025 version? We don't know. But
We don't know.
4 primetime games, no holiday games, really soft start to their schedule. I say that with air quotes because, as we've been saying, we have no idea who's going to be good. So you can't call. You play who you play, as they say in the NFL as well. And for all we know, the Saints and the Titans and the Colts and everybody could be ridiculously good in 2026.
Yep. Very, very possible.
Especially the Colts. I mean, damn that.
Well, they were fine last year until they were.
Yeah, I mean, I was rooting for them because, I mean, what a story for Daniel Jones. You know what I mean? That guy got the short end of the stick for sure and came back and was absolutely fantastic. I love that the owners on the sidelines taking notes and being, this is not a Colts podcast. I'm sorry I'm getting into this, but I just want to throw this out there. But, I just.
Colts are a sore spot for Baltimore.
I was going to say, this is the Baltimore.
Sorry, everybody.
Right
I'm just throwing that out there. The point being, we don't know. The Colts,
we don't know.
I think the Colts are going to be a good team again. With Daniel Jones healthy. So there's a lot of tough. There's still a lot of tough games to start the schedule, but it's just softer. And we'll see. This is not. It's not a terrible schedule for the Ravens by any means, but it's also not a great schedule for them either because of the way that it's been orchestrated. That short week, like I said, against the Bills and the Jaguars, and then just the back end of their entire schedule is just playoff team after playoff team. A few lesser opponents in there, but it's pretty rough, But they do, again, late week bye, or fantastic. No holiday games, fantastic. If they can go into week 8 with like I said, a 4-3 or, even a 5-2, even better, then I think they're going to be in a really good spot to contend down the line. They just have to make sure that they don't mess things up when they play those divisional opponents towards the end of the season, especially because, I think one of them is the Browns, right?
Browns is the first divisional game,
Yeah, so again, we don't know. Maybe the Browns will turn it around. I doubt it. But maybe they will. We'll see if Deshaun Watson can finally be something like he was supposed to be. But if they're not, they're going to try to play season ruiner, and they're going to try to play playoff ruiner, as the lower totem pole division opponents tend to do at the end of the season. So
Ravens. It's Todd Monken. He knows Lamar better than anybody. So
there you go. Yeah. And keep saying that their receiver is the next Zay Flowers. I don't know, sure.
James, you said Deshaun Watkins. I thought I was taking back to 2022 right now. I was like, oh my goodness, that's right. He's on the team.
Well, that, and then they keep saying that he's going to be the starting quarterback again. So I'm like, all right.
A guy coming off the ACL.
I'm seeing Shador.
It was an ACL, which he then retore, or was it an Achilles?
It was definitely something lower body.
Again, we're not a Browns podcast, but I'm just saying, so we'll see.
Yeah,
you will see.
It's gonna be fun.
I don't want to throw. I didn't say that we should do this, so I don't want to throw like a prediction here. But let's just do a little rough prediction.
For fun.
I'd love to.
Rough prediction, real quick. We have a couple minutes. Win total. Somebody take it away. I have to look real quick and.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a little plot.
Let me see.
I'm being strategic about this. This means something to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Vegas.
Yeah.
You're going to go 11?
They can win 11.
Go ahead, Willie.
11?
Yeah.
11? Okay.
I think they can win 11.
Let's see. I got them 2-1 after they played Dallas, because I just think being international, I don't think that's going to go well. Let's see. 3-1 Tennessee. I'll say 4-1 Atlanta, 5-1 Cleveland. I'll give them a loss against Cincinnati. I'll say they're 5-2 before they get to Buffalo. That's my little mini prediction. That's what I'm going to go with. I'll leave it
I
at
think that's
that.
reasonable.
I'll say they're 5-2 going into the Week 8 matchup against the Buffalo Bills. Past that, no idea.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah.
hard to tell. Usually, I would say they do often lose to the Steelers. Makes me feel sick to say as such, but they do. But Tomlin's not in town anymore, so those can become competitive again. I don't know, but I feel like I'm just gonna believe in Jesse Minter, and I'm gonna. What
Yeah.
about you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm gonna go 11-6. I'm gonna have them going 1-1 against the Steelers as well. But the one game they are gonna win, I believe, is that Week 18 one.
Yeah, I think it's gonna
And I
be
believe that's
something
gonna be
really.
enough to win the division by a game. Yeah, I mean, it just really depends. I know it sounds kind of weird, but like but not really. It really depends on Joe Burrow's health and how and really if he's gonna be playing right. Because if he's out, that's kind of like okay, it's really just a kind of two-team race between the Steelers and the Ravens. But even so, if he's healthy or not, I believe it's really just all about the Ravens and their health and how they're feeling, and if they take advantage of the schedule and whatnot. So I'm going 11-6, and yeah, that's enough to win the AFC North, and I think that'll be enough for maybe a 3 seed, 4 seed, and once the playoffs kick off.
Yeah, I'm saying with Lamar,
Yes,
without
yes,
done.
yeah,
With
completely agree.
Lamar, though, I see that. I see
Yes.
that.
There you go. Honestly, I did a really quick look, and I'm kind of in the same ballpark. Weirdly enough, I think they can probably pull out 11 wins on this schedule. So we'll see. This is way too early predictions. Again, we don't know, but why not for some fun? Thank you, everybody, for listening. This has been Roundtable Ravens, episode number 24. I am going on hiatus for the next 2 weeks, so this podcast will be going on hiatus for the next 2 weeks. I will be going on vacation past this, but we'll be back sometime later.